What's the deal, good people? Get Connected Podcast episode 2. It's the kid them stacks in the building. This episode, we're going to talk about the time I met Rittz. If you don't know, Rittz is probably one of the first major artists that I produced for. I produced for big artists before, like Wiz Khalifa and Currency, but Rittz was the first artist that actually put me on an album as far as like production credits go. So it's a real interesting story how I met Rittz, man. I met Rittz while I was DJing at this club in Cleveland, Ohio. It was a rock venue, like heavy metal rock venue. It's a real historic venue in Cleveland. It doesn't exist anymore, man. Rest in peace. The venue was called Peabody's. And side note, man, Peabody showed me a lot of love over the years. I would say it wasn't my first job, but Peabody's was like my first consistent like venue that, you know, consistently booked me to DJ. I was basically like their in-house DJ. It started off with me just them booking me a lot to DJ in the beginning, then me becoming their official DJ essentially. So they were a heavy metal venue, but every once in a while they would have hip hop shows, they would have rap shows and stuff like that. Like their schedule would be booked every month with different rock bands, and every month it would be at least 2 to 3 hip hop concerts. And if you were a hip hop artist, I would say anywhere from mid-level to almost high level, and you were touring and had a heavy touring schedule, 9 times out of 10 you performed at this venue, Peabody's. But yeah, that's where I pretty much started DJing at every weekend. It started off being like kiddie parties that this promoter, he was throwing like teen parties and stuff like that. So I was DJing that, and then it turned into me DJing for the artists that were actually coming into town, and you know, the artists that were on tour. I would end up either being their DJ at the show that day, or I would just end up being like the opener DJ for the show. So yeah, back to how I met Rittz. I met Rittz at this same venue. I don't think I was booked to DJ, but at this time I had been DJing in this venue for about a year now. So I would come out to shows that I wasn't even booked to DJ, especially for artists that I was a fan of. And at the time I was a Yellow Wolf fan. I was real tuned in to what Yellow Wolf had going on. And I was interested to see who he was bringing with him for the opening acts. And he brought this artist named Rittz. And I just remember coming to the venue and there was all this hype about Rittz. Everybody was like, yeah, Yellow Wolf is the man. We came here for Yellow Wolf, but you got to see this opener. His name is Rittz. He's hard, you know. He's a white dude from Atlanta, Georgia. He spits super fast, like on some Tech 9 Twister type of shit. So I was interested to hear him. Plus, he had like a real different look. I remember seeing him on the advertisement, the promo for the show. And he was like this chubby white dude with big red hair puffed out to here with, you know what I mean? Just a real southern swag about him. So I was interested to see what he sounded like. So that night, he gets on stage. It's a big crowd of people. I'm talking about, it was packed wall to wall. And I was in the back I was by the merch table watching the show. So yeah, it's a big sea of people. He gets on stage and I realized Rittz doesn't even have a DJ. So this just shows you how early on this was. I would say this was right before. Don't quote me on the year. I'm not going to say the year. I want to say, well, I would say it was about 2012 because his first album, The Life and Times of Johnny Valiant, dropped in 2013. So I had to meet Rittz in about 2012. So this was before the deal, before all of that. He doesn't have a DJ. He gets on stage and he actually says that because it's kind of awkward. People are looking. They're like, where's the DJ? And he has a iPod, not even an iPhone. This dude had an iPod, an MP3 player plugged up to an aux cord, plugged up to a goddamn DI box at Peabody's. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. My name Rittz. I don't have no DJ. I'm fucking around in this iPod, but just vibe with me. I just quit my job last week. I was a cook, some shit like that. He's like, I quit last week. I'm trying to pursue my rap dreams. I just want y'all to fuck with me. And he performed and he put on a hell of a show. And I had to holler at him when he got off stage. He went back to his merch table. So I'm like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. I think the people from Peabody's introduced me, like, oh yeah, this is our house DJ, Stacks and stuff like that. And I got to chop it with Rittz that night, and I told him about the beats I was working on. I ran down my resume. Matter of fact, I don't even think I ran my resume down to him. I just told him I did beats and I was trying to produce some stuff for him, and he was all the way with it. He said he was working on an album and he definitely needs beats, and he was cool about it. So he gives me his email, right? So I go home and I remember being like, okay, Rittz raps like on Southern style beats. Let me just gather up all the Southern type of beats that I have and send him a beat pack. That's exactly what I did. So I sent him the beats, and I woke up the next morning and he responded. I didn't think he was gonna respond that fast. But when he responded, he says, I like this beat right here. It's still some things missing, but as far as vibe wise, this is what I'm looking for. And he highlighted one of my beats, and he said some stuff was missing. So it had me thinking like, okay, I need to cook up for this guy from scratch. Because normally up to this point, I was only sending beats out to artists. I was sending beats out through email, or even if I was producing some stuff in person, it would be more so like me thumbing through my catalog, letting the artist have a listening session and then picking out what beat they want to rap on. But in this case, I was custom making beats for Rittz at this point. So I remember listening to a few of his other songs, trying to do some more homework on this dude's sound. And I noticed that he includes a lot of live instruments in his music. I remember, I think DJ Burn One, who's one of my favorite producers. I feel like he slept on too, man, but he's one of my favorite producers. I feel like one of my favorite Southern producers. I love his unique sound. I even rock with the tag, the Burn One, like it's classic to me, man. All that chicken talk stuff with Gucci Mane, fire. Legendary. But yeah, he was doing a lot of work with him, and I know Burn One includes a lot of live instrumentations with guitars and drums and bass in his music. So I'm like, okay, I need to go the same route. So I remember going back to Peabody's DJing, and no, that's not what happened. I lied. All right, what happened was the only guitar player that I knew was a guy that I went to high school with. His name is AJ. He's actually the official guitar player for Machine Gun Kelly. Shouts out to AJ, man. But he was the only guitar player that I knew, and he at that time he was DJing for Machine Gun Kelly, and he was super busy. But I don't know what it was. Around the time that I did hit him, he just had some free time, and he came by my studio, and you know I was about to say we got high and made some music, but I don't even think I was smoking back then. So we literally on some sober shit just went in there and cooked up from scratch. And the beats that we cooked up, when he plays the guitar, so I think he plays some bass parts too, if I'm not mistaken, man. But the stuff that we cooked up, I sent it to Rittz, and Rittz instantly rocked with it. He was like, oh yeah, this is the one. And it ended up being the Like I Am song. And yeah, that was the first time I met Rittz, man. But from that moment on, once I cooked up that beat and Rittz liked it, I knew it was official. From that point on, we never gonna have this problem again, because I know this man's sound. So yeah, man, I never really told that story about how I met Rittz, man. And at the end of the day, what came from meeting Rittz was I got my first album placement. I produced for major artists before, a whole bunch of major artists, like Wiz Khalifa was one of the biggest ones that I produced for, Bun B. But none of that music that I made with them made it on an album. It was solely mixtape placements, which was cool, but an album placement was something bigger. Not only was the money bigger and the look was bigger, but it was just like, it was a different type of accomplishment, man, just to see your name in print in the back of the album, like produced by Miguel M. Stacks Brown Jr., and also additional instrumentation provided by AJ with the guitar, and you know, whoever else was involved. Like, it was just different just seeing it on the back of the, and also back to the money part too, is that it definitely, the album placement definitely pays better. I mean, for publishing wise, like that's where it's all at, the album placements. But I love my mixtapes placements the same, but it's just a different vibe. That's all I'm saying. But big shouts out to Rittz and the whole Strange Music family. They show me love. Anytime I come back in contact with them, it's definitely all love. I met Tech Nine one time too, man, but it was real loud in the club when I met him, and I don't think he had any fucking idea what I was saying to him. I literally met this dude in a crowded club and was like, yo, what's up, Tech? Dapped him up. I'm the one who produced Like I Am for Rittz. I said it just like that when I dapped him up. You know how you pull a nigga closer and shit? I'm like, what up, Tech? I'm the nigga who produced Like I Am for Rittz. I said it just like that in his ear in a loud ass club. That nigga looked at me and was like, and kept it moving. But that nigga didn't hear shit I said. But shouts out to Tech 9 though, man, because his name is on every single check that gets sent to me, you know, from that song Like I Am. So yeah, man, that's my story on it. Get Connected Podcast, episode 2. We out.